Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm Eric Grebeliunas from Ratio Architects. We're all here to talk about the Manitou Springs Library Edition. We had a really great community meeting yesterday in person. It had a whole bunch of attendance and some great conversation sparked from that. And so today is kind of a digital format of that, just in case anyone who wasn't able to make it to that meeting can still be kept in the loop as to where the project has progressed, and also have an opportunity to add their comments to the exercise that we did yesterday. So just to go through that presentation, just wanted to point out that this, I guess, is technically community meeting number 8, in addition to the 4 task force meetings that started before Ratio joined, that we've been meeting with HPC, PARAB, and City Council to keep progressing the designs of these, and that everything you see in the final design today is reflected of the project and all the feedback that's come to date. And so just to kind of give a little overview of where we've been in the past, in March, April, May, and June of 2021, the Preserve and Renew, our Carnegie Library Task Force, met with the different community groups to gather some pre-Ratio joining the team feedback. And we were given that when we joined the team in May to kick the project off and to start to compile what was 3 different design options to present back to the community that really tried to show some diverse design potential that would get a conversation going to better understand what the ultimate solution for this project would look like for the community. So then in August, we met with HPC to discuss the preliminary design. And then also in August, we met with PARAB, again, to present the preliminary design. And then shortly after that, we met with City Council, again, to present the preliminary design of the 3 different options to kind of show where the project had begun, the feedback that we received across all those different options, and kind of summarizing the points that were the common thread of what all these different groups were really hoping this project could become. So then in September, we had our second community meeting, where again, we showed the refined design and solicited feedback from the community to help push the project further, which then led to us meeting with PARAB in October, where we got the preliminary site plan approval, which was part of our package to City Council. In October, we also met with the Historic Preservation Council and gave them a design presentation for massing approval, which was included in the City Council package. And all of that effort leading up into November, where we presented to City Council a single design option with the hope that it'd be approved to move forward. So then that approval was given. And so now we find ourselves in the new year, where in February, we met with PARAB again to get the final site design approval, which they did. Yesterday, we had the final community meeting that was in person. And today is the final community meeting done virtually. With all this information and feedback, that's going to influence the design, as we still have to get our final historic preservation approval, the final planning approval, and final City Council approval. So there's still some more checks that we have to go through to make sure that this project is complying with all the needs of the community and in the city. And so for those of you who might have missed our previous presentations, I just want to talk a little bit about Ratio's design process. We really pride ourselves of coming to projects with open minds, and we really want to listen to the community and make sure that these buildings really represent the values, and that the feedback we get throughout this process truly is representative and leads us to the final design of this library. And again, we have been really enjoying all the feedback that we've heard from the community, and have been trying to find that common thread that really helps bring everyone together to the single design solution. So our firm has done 13 Carnegie Library renovations. We've also done over 230 public library projects, with a little over half of those being in Colorado and the Rocky Mountain region. So we've done work from big cities all the way down to small towns with 300 residents, and it's coming to the project with an open mind and not having preconceived notions of what this building needs to be, that really lets the design process be influenced by the community, so that the final product is really of its place. And I guess just to reiterate, we were hired due to our experience with Carnegie libraries and public libraries, and really our community engagement process that is really core to our design views, where we listen and react and want to celebrate your community. And so over those previous community meetings, we really heard that this addition and Carnegie Library renovation need to feel like Manitou, and really core to the overall concept is that the existing Carnegie has to be the prominent structure on the site. It always needs to be the focal point. The architectural style of the addition needs to make sure that it's complementary to the Carnegie. And we've heard how important this park space is, especially given its surrounding context, that we want to save as much of this park space as we possibly can. And the idea of being able to take that park space and locate it on the addition's roof is very well received. Now, ultimately, whatever the addition turns out to be, the community doesn't want it to feel monumental or overpowering, especially trying to emphasize the importance of the Carnegie remaining that prominent structure. And one of the bigger shifts that came later on in the previous design phase was wanting to explore the opportunities of the addition further to the south. And so really core to why are we doing this project? Why are we putting an addition on? And the main reason is to provide accessibility, or one of the main reasons is to provide accessibility, is making sure that every resident of Manitou has equal access to this building. Currently, there's limitations that would allow all patrons to access all floors of the library. And so an elevator is going to be a really important programmatic element that's going to provide that accessibility to generations to come. And another really important aspect is that the existing structure struggles to support a 21st century library. And that means making sure that the library can have flexible space that supports current needs, as well as being able to adapt to what the future needs. Having spaces to read and sit, meet, reconfigure, build relationships. There's all sorts of different uses that come to be needed, that having a flexible space that really allows that to happen. And the library wants to be able to create those traditions of kids growing up, going to the same story time and meeting friends and having those lifelong friendships within Manitou. And having a culture and a space that people feel comfortable meeting to discuss any topic. So this is also going to bring an expanded computer lab to the library, dedicated teenager space, a library program and community room that could be utilized for classes or training, programmed library activities. It's just a constantly or a consistently available space for the library and the community to use during and after hours. There's going to be study rooms and a really important library staff area that currently doesn't exist. And just to reiterate, the Carnegie Library is such an icon, and it's such an important historic structure that it needs to be preserved. And so just trying to make sure that we're doing work in a manner that allows maintenance to continue and for it to remain the prominent structure on the site. And it's a really special building because it's one of only 18 Carnegies that continues to be used in Colorado. It's a really important building because all citizens in the community can access and use it and experience it. That can't be said for all historic structures. And it's the only building that generates stable rental income for the city. And having a new accessible outdoor space is really going to allow Manitou Springs residents to come to the park and experience those outdoor activities. And so I think everyone has a really good image of this site in their mind. And I think particularly it's because of this Manitou Avenue that it's kind of the main thoroughfare that everyone travels back and forward through. And I think it's no coincidence that this park space was put right at this one of the larger curves of this. So it's kind of creating that forced moment to slow down. And in that moment, your eye just naturally will continue up the hill to observe that Carnegie Library just sitting atop and that wonderful park space full of those great trees. And so it's a very distinct experience that you experience as you travel down Manitou Avenue. And as I mentioned previously, everything that has resulted in the design evolution of this project has been guided by community, Parks and Recreation, Historic Preservation Council, and City Council feedback. And so where we all left off last was kind of having a site plan and a general building layout. And it was going to be going to City Council and PARB and HPC for additional review. And we wanted to check back with the community just so you would see what would have changed throughout that process as we check in with the different organizations or different groups. And for I think a great thing that has happened is that just kind of throughout all that feedback that we've gotten during the design process is, from that last meeting to where we are today, there hasn't been many changes required to be made. So I think that, again, just shows how valuable all that feedback that we've gathered along the way is to getting us to where we are today. And so I'm just going to go through where the site plan is now, just as a little refresher. So the existing structure is this blue roof, just prominently located at the top of this park space. The stair and elevator addition is located to the south of it. And it was kind of pointed out yesterday that the existing roof would stop here, and this would all be a new roof in this zone. The one-story dug-in addition is just to the west here, which is being reused as a rooftop deck along that park space to kind of spill onto it. And we are providing one accessible parking space on the site adjacent to the accessible entry to the library where the stair and elevator are located. And I just want to note that all the existing accessible and typical parking spaces located at the corner will still be available for the library's use. And so it's just really important, again, to note how important the park is to PARB, and that our landscaping is really just trying to make sure that as much grass that can be put back into place is being done so. And then any trees that we're going to be removing will be replaced. And so something that's going to be new that many of you haven't seen before is, how's the interior of the building shaping up, and what kind of opportunities is the library going to be bringing to the community? So just to walk you through what the interior of the building would be experienced as, the entry to the building, just located adjacent to this ADA space, will take you into the main vestibule. From this vestibule, you can take the elevator or the stair down to the lower level where the main library is located, or there'll be a door just to the north that'll take you into the existing Carnegie, which we'll have this really wonderful community room for library program and community use. All the existing stairs and entryways will still remain in place. They're all part of the historic interior of this building, as well as all the casework located around the perimeter of this room. And we're going to be getting into an exercise a little bit later that is going to kind of explore some of the uses that you all are kind of hoping that this room can accommodate, as well as some of the other spaces in the library. And so something that is pretty exciting about locating the community room in this location is that it does allow the library to secure off the library floor and allow the community room to be used for after hours use and still have a restroom to serve that after hours functionality. And so just to the west here, you can either leave the main vestibule or you can take a walkway if it's after hours and get onto the new rooftop patio or green roof area. Again, where we're creating a flat, accessible outdoor space where users can come read. And really, it's intended to be a flexible space that could be used for all sorts of different activities, maybe it's yoga. But what we're going to want to do is hear from you a little bit later again on what other things, or how do you want to use this space, and what can we maybe provide to help support that. But really importantly, this really allows the park to become accessible in a manner that someone could be standing up here and listening to the music in the park in a way that the slopes of these current sidewalks wouldn't necessarily facilitate. So going back to the main entry, again, if you take the elevator and the stair down to the lower level, you'll be kind of put right into the heart of the library. You'll be greeted by the library staff at their desk with their work and break area located just adjacent to them. As you turn the corner, you'll have this large flexible library space in front of you with views that are going to be shooting out of that north elevation into the park space, with the main collection area located in the center of that. And the new library design allows flexibility and for these to be rearranged however the library sees fit. There will also be 2 offices and a study area just to the north of the work and break area, kind of tucked away into the corner of the building, with a new young adult area in this northwest corner. And then, various reading nooks that we're hoping to populate throughout the library. Located on the east here will be the new computer area and family restrooms, with the children's library accessed through this doorway, with the hopes of being able to accommodate a classroom of about 25 students. And we do know that there's a lot of excitement with the school and their limited library facility to really be able to come and enjoy the Carnegie Library, and they're really excited about the opportunity of using this space for their programmatic needs. And there can be a really great relationship between the 2 facilities. And then in terms of all the different ways to enter or exit the building, the main accessible entry is just directly adjacent to the ADA space. There will be entryways off the roof deck into the existing structure. And then when you drop down to the lower level, the existing main entry would remain in use. There's still the entry to the north side of the children's area. And then we've added a new entry into the library addition to the north as well. And it'll be up to the library to decide how best to secure these doors and allow users to enter and exit the building. And so, I just really want to reiterate the things that we've heard in the past and why this project is so important is that, the Carnegie Library really needs to remain the prominent structure on this site. It's what we want to celebrate and honor the best we can. And by having this addition lowered and dug into the earth, it achieves making sure that the Carnegie Library remains that dominant structure. And by pulling the addition further to the south, as got discussed in great detail towards the end of the previous design phase, it makes so very minimal amounts of the primary elevations of the existing structure are being covered up. And a really important aspect is that we heard that we need to make sure that the architectural design is complementary, and that the intent is that the focus remains in the Carnegie, and that the architectural styling of the addition needs to be submissive to that. And then lastly, just making sure that we're honoring kind of the existing repetition of the window bays and window scale in the new addition, as well as looking at opportunities and ways to make sure that it's just clear where the demarcation between existing and new becomes. And in terms of what is that park space spilling out onto that roof really look like? Well, our hope and goal is to really make it so that you can truly transition from the green park space and not necessarily know that you're entering a different environment. We want you to feel that outdoor space consistently throughout here and not have to go through a transitional period. And so, there's a lot of programmatic opportunities within the library that we want to make sure that we capture. We need to hear from you all to understand, how would you really like to use this library? What type of programmatic opportunities do you think would really enhance the offerings? And our goal is for you to think big. We want you to throw out your passion, and then it's on us to figure out, how can we make that happen? Something that was brought up is, well, we want to encourage maybe bringing back some board games or chess. Well, maybe there's an opportunity to doing that in one of the rooms. But so just the way we're going to go about this virtually here is we're going to use an online poll, and you have two options of how to join. You can join by the web. You go to pollev.com, and then you enter ratio. Or you can just text ratio to 37607 as the phone number, and it'll join you to the polls that are going to be following here. And these directions show up as we continue into the exercises. So just at the top here, you can see you can text ratio to this number, and just to make sure it's working for us all, just type in what your favorite food is and send it over to us, and we just make sure that we've got people connected. So we got, I put burger in, but it seems we got a pizza, which is great. Delicious food, not that I'm hungry. Great, there's still responses coming in as we're getting connected here. And we'll just kind of give it a minute or so for people to get connected. So again, if you're trying to figure it out, the way I feel is pretty accessible is if you text ratio to this number from your text messages, just enter this as the phone number. And then you can just you'll get a message that says you've joined, and you can just send in your response. A lot of people are digging the burger. Butter. Oh, that was a great one. It is delicious. Okay, well, I think we've got about 20 people on, so this has multiple responses in each of these. So we're probably all pretty well connected here. Okay, so on to the first exercise here. So we were talking about the community room. It's going to be on the upper floor of the existing Carnegie, and there's going to be some casework and shelving around the perimeter, but otherwise it's intended to be a flexible space for the library to program. And so what I guess the question at hand is, how would you want to be able to use this community room, whether it's during library hours or how could you see using the community room for an after hours event? An idea of, and we're looking for, how can we add additional flexibility to the space? An example is, what if you want to use it for art? Maybe that would mean that we would add a sink into the corner of the community room. Gallery is listed here, and so is there maybe a rotating art display that gets used? Yeah, guest speakers is great. It's making sure that this room has the support to have somebody come and speak to a group. A small recital could be pretty beautiful in this space, just giving an opportunity to play and just having a space to play. Just a general meeting room. You have the restroom to facilitate after hours. You have more meetings, lifelong learning classes and presentations. So just making sure that we have display capabilities in here. I wonder is virtual classes where we can play something to a group from a TV would be valuable. And yeah, definitely library events and activities. School programs and tutoring, especially given the interest that the school has to participate in the library. Games like chess or other board games, maybe the library of things that PPLD has can allow games to be checked out, or even if there's groups of people who want to play games and they want a place to go do that. This would be a beautiful space just to have any type of event in chess tournament. Yes. The idea of maybe using it for a self-checkout or a place where books on hold could be used. You like to see the original furniture in this room, so a person could sit and read here. Yeah, I think having this as a, it could be a quiet reading room at times of day. Yep, original furniture. And I know there's tables and chairs in there now, and there's the shelving around the perimeter, which is really beautiful, really beautiful pieces. Yeah, definitely the option to use it as a reading room when it's not in use for a class or a presentation. Okay, well, there's a lot of consistency here, which is really great. Let's jump over to the next space. Yep, meditation classes. Maybe that'll be something that can happen on the rooftop as well. All right, so I'm moving over to the rooftop space. So we're talking about all the flexibility that the community room could have. And so now we have this outdoor patio that's flat. Some things that have been brought up in the past of, what people wanted to do on the rooftop is, it would be great to sit out there and read a book surrounded by the trees. And so making sure that we have, seating, that would really help facilitate that. Doing yoga out there amongst nature would be really nice, especially on a flat surface. Would be great for your mats. Yeah, grills, probably don't want grills on this space. Yeah, concert in the park. You could have people playing up here. I also know that there's the spot to the north where people play. So maybe it's an observation point. It could be a place for poetry to be read. Tai Chi, yeah, it's similarly just any type of small, medium sized group that has an instructor that wants a nice open place to meet and do their activity. It's a great place to have a nature class. You're surrounded by it. Maybe there's the opportunity to do some plantings in some of the planter beds that could be on top here. Yeah, that seating as the observation point for the concert season in the summer, overlooking the park. Great space to eat takeout. Not that I'm hungry now. Yeah, really, it is a destination that would be just really wonderful to come sit down and have a picnic on even. Yeah, making sure that we, if we add electrical outlets out here, it really opens up the possibilities for maybe there's a movie that could be projected on certain nights, or speakers. Yeah, Shakespeare in the Park, it would be a really nice place to read. So making sure that maybe we have some flexible seating out there that can be rearranged and to kind of suit a bunch of different needs. I really like the idea of the holiday market. You could have little stands kind of set up throughout here. Yeah, maybe it could be a sculpture garden at certain times of the year. And yeah, definitely a place for the library to let their programming spill out into nature and have story time outside, or an outdoor art class. So just making sure that we have some durable tables that could be cleaned off easily. Summer movie. Yeah, I think this comment really hits it. It's amazing the amount of opportunities that just having a large flexible space opens up. And what's really exciting is we're kind of brainstorming some initial ideas of what this could be used for, and that's only scratching the surface of what ultimately will be used here. Yeah, the camping issue is definitely around everywhere, and we'll have to talk about how do you manage that. The starting place for historic tours of Manitou, that'd be a great location for it, and then maybe even in the main entry vestibule, there's supporting information ready to go, or perhaps that's already maybe the community room actually has a little bit of a historic gallery in it. And yeah, giving the school an exterior place to have some an outdoor classroom that became really important as kind of classrooms found themselves getting pushed out of their buildings, and some teachers have found that they really like to teach outside. So providing that space will allow that to happen. And yeah, there's no reason we can't meet out here either. Yeah, the quiet time for all, letting this be kind of a peaceful, meditative zone, and just surrounded by nature. Yeah, I think these are all really great responses, and I think what really pops up as important to me is just making sure that we're providing flexible furniture to meet a whole variety of needs, making sure we're using a floor material that could support activity, and making sure that we're providing power for really to support that flexibility. Okay, well, that's really great responses. I'm going to jump over to the next one. And so this one can be a little tricky because the collection area is kind of the heart of many libraries. It's where all the the books live, but it also is a flexible space now that can take on all sorts of different programmed opportunities. And so when we think about, what should we add to the collection area, just to get, the brain juices flowing, is, we want to make sure we add computers there. We want to add a place to sit down and read a book. A comfortable place to read a book. I know there's the library of things, where, what kind of things do you want to be able to check out from your library? From maybe it's tools or baking pans. Yeah, it is an opportunity to reuse the original furnishings of the Carnegie. What about, there could be the potential to display art within the library space. Definitely comfortable chairs, a place to read. If we encourage people to sit down and read a book there, we're encouraging that opportunity to build community, as someone kind of stumbles into someone else they know and gets a conversation going. Yeah, a place to have these really important pieces of information. And there's these stacks adjacent to that kind of main entry point, where maybe a special collection or a seasonal collection can be displayed. Yep, the opportunity to have more glass on the north is kind of encouraging more daylight to spill into the space. And there's work areas, some color. Yeah, like what kind of interior finishes would really liven up the space. I mean, it's the windows are on the north here, so I think the interior finishes that are selected are going to be really important to making it feel welcoming and inviting. Yeah, as much light as possible. And we're going to make sure that we're trying to bring the daylight in as far as we can, but also making sure we're providing comfortable light fixtures that aren't too they aren't the wrong color temperature. A local mural could be really nice, maybe along the back wall as a tradition to start. Keeping with the historic theme, definitely. There's the opportunity of seeing how much of this wall we can expose inside of this space to have that connection to what's really important on the site. Yeah, I think there is the possibility, depending on how frequently the office gets used, is maybe it can get opened up for others to use. And, the opportunity of plants. We're surrounded by this beautiful nature. It seems that there's a lot of educational opportunities to maybe have a seed club. And yeah, definitely looking for those opportunities to create those cozy, warm spaces that we can just kind of tuck into during the cold weather. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, we're going to go to the last space now. And this is one that we had a few responses on yesterday. But it'd be really great to get some additional feedback, maybe to help find consensus here. But you're just thinking about the children of Manitou, and what really resonates with them. What is what gets them excited, and specifically, what theme do we think this children area should have that would really relate to them and make them feel like they want to come visit here? Is it kind of having some connection to the mountains? Sometimes it can be a certain type of animal or forest, or yeah, nature is nature. You can really tell how important that is throughout Manitou, and it really seems like that resonates well with the kids as well. It would be fun. It's a great site to have some pretty amazing treasure hunts on. When we think about using color, again, we want the kids to be excited to come here and to really encourage its use. Reminiscent of original children's space. The theme of creativity and curiosity, things that foster asking questions. Yeah, so it's having books that can target that, but maybe there's some activities and some resources that can really help further engage. Anything that gives them ownership over the space. Yeah, that could look like a chalkboard wall. Understanding that it might get a little messy, but there's other things where we want to have kids engaging with the space in the building. Maybe even giving them an opportunity to put their artwork up and having their own gallery. Some inspiration from Rocky's fantasy works. I'll have to look into that one. Puppet show capability. Those are always really fun. Just making sure they can get their maybe their mobile stage in. Make sure it's big enough. Maybe a place for kids to create puppets and put on their own show. And maybe there's some type of recording opportunity in the community room, so they could even record their play. Yeah, having a music theme would be really inspirational. Children enjoy fantasy, and books are definitely a window into a whole new world, definitely. And you're right, you enter this room by descending stairs, and that's a really important transitional moment. Yeah, it's kind of like this, you're entering a new world, different from all the other library spaces. Just ideas that prompt them to create. Yeah, definitely. And that would be a really personal theme, is the opportunity of creating that historical connection to Manitou. So, understanding what really represents Manitou and having that drive the theme for the space. Having the various cultures be represented, different zones within the library space, perhaps. These are all really, really good ideas. I'm glad we have more than the few we had yesterday. This is fantastic. Okay, well, I do really appreciate everyone's feedback. This really helps us kind of work with the library and understand their programmatic needs, but also just understand that we can make this library something really special for the community and make sure that it reflects the community's values. And so what we're going to be doing with all the feedback that we received yesterday during the in-person meeting and tonight is we'll be compiling all these comments and just looking through and trying to understand all the opportunities that we have to add to this library space in a manner that really just enhances the offerings without necessarily increasing the cost of the project. We really want to find those hidden programmatic gems to really make this a special space. And so with that being said, the project still has got a lot of steps to go through to bring it to completion. We've come really far, thanks to all the community feedback, but we still need to go back in for the historic preservation's final approval. Then we also have to go in for the planning's final approval. And after receiving and getting through those two processes, we'll be going back to City Council for their final approval. And so with that, we're really excited about pushing this project to the next steps. And we look forward to kind of sharing that update with everyone and bringing this project to completion. So I think with that being said, I really appreciate everyone's feedback tonight. Again, it was really great to get so much participation. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening and that maybe you were lucky enough to be eating dinner during this. And if not, hopefully you eat dinner soon.